Listen up, developers. I'm here with some information from some plane-loving folks in the aviation industry. You know your plans to construct that high-rise building, those wind turbines, or even those low-rise buildings near the airport? Well, chances are you'll need to file your project with the FAA. You see, if your project exceeds FAA notification criteria defined in the Code of Federal Regulations, you've got some pre-build footwork to do. For example, any construction or alteration more than 200 feet above ground level will need to be filed with the FAA. Planned structures close to airports may also need to be filed at heights as low as the surface. The more accurate your information, the less likely you are to run into painful processing delays. Upon filing, FAA Obstruction Evaluation specialists will work with multiple internal FAA offices, such as flight procedures, technical operations, and flight standards. The DoD, Air Force, Army, Navy, and DHS also have an opportunity to weigh in on your project. After this review, the FAA may issue a Notice of Presumed Hazard. Don't worry, it's not as bad as it sounds. Think of this as a Notice of Preliminary Findings, a description of what the FAA has initially found. If you've already had us complete an obstruction evaluation study, you'll know what to expect in your notice. This notice is guaranteed if certain imaginary surfaces near airports are exceeded or if your project is taller than 499 feet above ground. We think of these as screening surfaces. Your project can exceed these, provided they don't have what the FAA calls significant adverse effect. So, how can you possibly understand imaginary surfaces and what would actually limit your building? That's where we come in. We'll predict and mitigate your project risk by conducting obstruction evaluation studies. Simply put, in-depth airspace, radar, and navigation modeling going well beyond these imaginary surfaces. Even more simply put, think of us as your crystal ball. You'll see deep into your project's future. You'll know how high and where you can build long before the FAA studies your project. Once the constraints of the study become clear, so do the solutions. Meaning, we have the understanding and experience to develop mitigation options that strike a balance between the economic requirements of your project and the need to preserve the National Airspace System. We are experts at identifying, studying, and resolving airspace impacts. You get to build your project, while the FAA ensures the future safety and viability of the air traffic system. Everyone wins.